I walked confidently into the bedroom and immediately grabbed the cheating wife's lover by the hair. He turned and tried to strike, but I dodged and knocked him out with a counter punch. Then I took his phone from his pants and called his wife. Your husband was caught red-handed in bed with a married woman. The knockout. I wasn't supposed to be home. A canceled meeting had landed me back 2 hours earlier than expected. No big dramatic entrance, just the sound of my keys hitting the kitchen counter and the quiet creak of the front door closing behind me. But the house felt different. Not quiet. Too quiet. I moved down the hall, my footsteps silent against the hardwood. Then I heard it, soft moaning, unmistakable. Low voices, laughter, the sound of a bed creaking under movement that had nothing to do with sleep. My jaw clenched. My stomach turned. But I didn't hesitate. I stepped into the bedroom, and there they were, Jess, my wife, sprawled across the sheets, tangled up with a man I didn't recognize. Shirtless, cocky, with one hand on her thigh and the other gripping the headboard. I didn't scream. I didn't shout. I moved before he could register what was happening. I grabbed a handful of his hair and yanked him backward off the bed. He shouted in pain as he hit the floor hard, scrambling to get up, but I was already there. He swung, sloppy wild. I ducked, pivoted, and slammed my fist into his jaw with everything I had. His head snapped back, his legs folded. Out cold, Jess shrieked, pulling the sheets up to cover herself. I didn't look at her. Not yet. Instead, I reached down, pulled his phone from the pocket of his crumpled jeans, and unlocked it with his still outstretched thumb. Contacts. Favorites. There she was, Mel Wifehart. I hit call. She answered on the third ring. Hey, babe, did you forget? This isn't your husband. I said flatly. This is the man you married, yes, but not the man you thought you married. That man is currently unconscious because I just caught him pants off of my bed with my wife. Silence. Then what? Yeah, you might want to come get your trash. He'll be on the floor where he belongs. I hung up before she could answer. Only then did I look at Jess. She was trembling, silent, as if her voice had been knocked out too. I didn't say a word. I turned, left the room, and went downstairs to make coffee. Because this was only the beginning. When the doorbell rang, I sipped my coffee slowly. Not because I needed the caffeine, but because I needed the stillness, the control. I knew if I went back upstairs now, I'd lose the grip I just spent the last 10 minutes painfully tightening around my own rage. So I waited for the next move. It came faster than I expected. Ding dong. I stood up and calmly walked to the door. A woman stood there, mid-30s, black business skirt, keys in one hand, confusion on her face. And then, as her eyes landed on me, a flicker of something deeper, suspicion, fear. You're the one who called, she said flatly. Yeah, I nodded. You must be Melissa. She stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. Where is he? I didn't answer. I just tilted my head toward the stairs. She climbed them faster than I thought heels allowed. No hesitation. I followed slowly. Half of me didn't want to see what would happen next. The other half needed to. When we got to the bedroom, he was awake. Barely. Sitting on the edge of the bed, holding an ice pack to his jaw that Jess must have gotten from the freezer. Jess stood near the dresser, dressed now, shaking like a leaf. Melissa didn't say anything. She looked at the man she'd shared a life with for over a decade. Then at Jess, the woman who just shattered 2 marriages in one move. Then she laughed. Quiet, bitter, like all the puzzle pieces had finally clicked into place. Slap. She hit him clean across the face. Not out of rage, but out of finality. I sold my car, she said. I sold my car last month to help you cover rent for your startup while you were in this house. He didn't speak. Jess tried. Melissa, I didn't know. You didn't know he was married? Melissa turned slowly toward her. You didn't know he had a wife who worked 60-hour weeks to keep them afloat while he played entrepreneur with strangers' beds. Jess opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Melissa turned to me now. Thanks for calling. I figured the truth deserved an audience. She gave a single nod, then turned back to the man on the bed. I'll send the divorce papers next week, she said cold. You can sign them once your jaw works again. And just like that, she left. Just turned to me, eyes wide and glassy. I didn't know he was married, I swear. I don't care if he was married or the Pope, I said. What you did, you planned this. You brought him into our bed, into our home. It was just a mistake. No, I said, a mistake is forgetting an anniversary. I gestured to mess around us. This was a decision. And I've made one too. Her voice cracked. What do you mean? I'm not hitting you. I'm not yelling. I'm not throwing your stuff out the window. Pause. But you're going to wish I had. Let the collapse begin. 3 hours after Melissa stormed out, I filed the first set of documents with my lawyer. Divorce. Immediate separation. Filing under adultery with provable evidence. The photos from the security camera at the front door. The screen-recorded text from her iCloud backup. And now, statements if needed from both Melissa and Kyle, her spineless, mouth-breathing affair partner. My lawyer looked at me over his glasses. This is about as airtight as it gets. You want to go nuclear? I didn't hesitate. No alimony. No shared property. She walks away with whatever she can carry. And I want full control of the house and all financials. He whistled. She's going to fight it. I smiled. Then she's going to lose. Back at the house, Jess sat on the couch like a ghost. She didn't even ask where I'd gone. She knew. The silence stretched long enough to make the air feel heavy. Finally, she spoke. Are you really going through with it? I nodded, sitting across from her. You brought him into our bed. Jess, I made a mistake. I wasn't thinking. I didn't mean for it to go this far. You weren't thinking? I laughed once, sharp. You sent him nudes from the bathroom while I was in the next room. You told him you loved the way he made you feel. You called him your escape. That doesn't sound like someone who wasn't thinking. That sounds like someone who got bored and didn't have the guts to say so. She flinched like the words hit her harder than my punch had hit him. You said we were in a rut, she whispered. You were in a rut. I was building a life. I didn't scream. I didn't call her names. I just handed her the sealed envelope. She opened it. Her hands trembled. She read the words. Divorce petition. Distribution of assets. List of evidence. She looked up, eyes red. You already filed? I met her eyes. I filed before the blood dried on his mouth. But it wasn't just the marriage I was cutting her off from. It was the comfort. The car in my name. I reported it as being transferred. She had 48 hours to return it, or it would be flagged for repossession. The bank account. I moved my funds out the moment I left the lawyer's office. The credit cards, disabled. Her favorite gym membership. Her online subscriptions. Her phone plan, all connected to accounts I owned. And I gave her 1 week to find somewhere else to stay. You chose to be with him. You don't get to live off me anymore. At first, she was stunned. Then the denial turned into begging, tears, apologies. She even tried guilt. You're really going to leave me with nothing? No, I replied coldly. You did that to yourself. I'm just giving you the invoice. The pushback and the lockdown. It took 2 days for Jess to snap out of her shocked silence and switch into her next phase, damage control. She came to me with soft eyes and a new tone in her voice. Not desperation this time. Strategy. Maybe we could slow this down, she said carefully, watching my face. Work through it. I've been reading about counseling. I didn't interrupt. I let her speak. I let her hope, because that made what came next hit harder. Jess, I said, you're not coming back from this. You chose a stranger over me. You let him walk into our home, into our bed, and didn't even lock the door. There's no version of this story where we work through it. There's only the ending. And you're lucky I'm giving you a clean one. She stood still for a moment, processing. Then her face hardened. So that's it? After everything we built, you're just going to throw it all away? I tilted my head slightly. You mean like you did with your clothes that night? She opened her mouth to fire back, but nothing came out. She made her next move the following day. She called her mother, then her sister, then her 2 closest friends. I saw the text later. She painted me as cold, heartless, emotionally abusive, claimed I snapped without warning, that I overreacted to a fling, that she was trying to fix things, but I had become violent and unstable. And just like that, the smear campaign had begun. What she didn't know, I was ready for that too. I'd already shared the full story with receipts with a very select few people, my boss, to avoid any awkward workplace fallout, a few mutual friends who had already sensed something was off, Melissa, the lover's wife, who had plenty of reason to echo the truth. I didn't make noise online, didn't post a rant, didn't drag her name through the mud. I did something worse. I made sure no one believed her version of the story. I forwarded the texts, the screenshots, the video. The same friends who had once been neutral started backing away from her in silence. By the time she tried calling my mother, crying, begging for sympathy, my mom was already armed with the truth. "I raised a good man," she told her, "and you walked all over him. Don't call here again." Jess tried one last play. She marched into the law office with a counter-proposal. Wanted half the house, half the savings, compensation for the emotional distress I'd caused by publicly humiliating her. My attorney smiled across the table, then handed over a file labeled Evidence Package. 30 printed pages of time-stamped messages between her and Kyle, GPS data from her phone, syncing with his location, photos of them together, some in public, others not, and of course, a written witness statement from Melissa. Jess didn't say a word. She just sat there staring at the folder like it had personally strangled her. If she can test the terms, my attorney said smoothly, we'll see her in court and will be seeking damages for emotional fraud and reputational harm, plus attorney fees. That night, she packed what she could carry and left the house. The next morning, she signed the divorce papers. No alimony, no settlement, no payout, just silence. And that silence was the sound of her empire crumbling. Aftermath. 3 weeks after Jess signed the divorce papers, her name was gone from everything that mattered. The deed, the utilities, the insurance policies, even the damn Netflix profile. She became a ghost in the house she once ruled. I changed the locks the next morning. Not out of spite, out of closure. In the days that followed, the fallout spread like wildfire through our circles. She didn't post about it on social media, but she didn't have to. People talk, and I didn't need to say much. I just let them connect the dots. Why she lost her job. Her affair partner was a vendor we work with, and his company promptly terminated their contract when his wife went public. Why she moved into a small rental in a different part of town. Why her friends slowly stopped answering her messages. No fights, no scandals, just a long, cold drip of consequences. I didn't date right away. I focused on the gym, on work, on sleeping through the night without wondering if the person lying next to me had already betrayed me. I saw a therapist, talked through the guilt I didn't expect to feel. Not guilt for what I'd done, but guilt for letting her get away with it for as long as I did. That was the hardest part. How blind I'd been. But I wasn't blind anymore. Months later, a mutual friend bumped into her at a grocery store. She looked tired, hollow, still trying to play the victim to anyone who'd listen. But no one was listening anymore. Her ex-lover left her a week after the divorce was final. Apparently didn't like the baggage. She tried reaching out once. A text, "I miss you. I made a mistake. Can we talk?" I didn't reply. I just archived the message and smiled. And that was a real revenge. Not the knockout, not the cold legal win, not even the public exposure. It was a fact that she had to live in the wreckage she created while I walked away and rebuilt. Stronger, smarter, and completely untouchable. Was this revenge justified, or did it go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We want to hear your take. And if you love jaw-dropping pro-revenge stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and smash the like for more thrilling tales you won't want to miss. Every like, share, and subscription means the world to us. It helps us keep bringing you the stories you crave. Your support truly makes a difference. Thank you so much for being part of our